what do you need me to be today, like an engineer or a medic?
Are you a creative genius?
Yes.
Who's question,
this
really?
guy?
I could do a kick-ass spaceship.
Okay. Double cannons.
I'm sentencing you to death. Only joking. Off you go.
Anything can happen in the next half hour.
Hello.
Hello.
If you don't mind me saying, you look like the type of person... Right.
Who sets their laptop off at inappropriate moments.
Right. Anyone else? Do you want to take a call while we're at it? Or, go and flush a toilet somewhere or slam a door?
Everyone just scream. Just get it out of their system.
Right.
Ross.
We're going to start again.
Ross has gone purple.
Anything can happen in the next half hour.
Hello.
Hello.
You look like the sort of person who would appreciate watching a dedicated podcast to the life and work of Gerry Anderson, maybe once a month.
I
Don't
think
they?
they do, yeah. Well, not so much that one. But
No,
the one
but
in the front.
he certainly does.
And she.
And if so, you're in luck. And welcome to the Gerry Anderson Podcast.
You are indeed very welcome to the Gerry Anderson Podcast.
Tell us what's coming up, Chris.
Well, we have got a very special interview
Yes.
with a very special guest.
Yes.
Shall we introduce that person now?
Oh, go on then.
It's the perennially popular Chris Thompson.
Chris, have you ever been called perennially popular before?
I don't even know what perennial means.
Well, the word just popped into my head
It's
and I
good.
thought, that sounds good. I'll
like it.
use it. Yes.
Now-
I don't think I've ever used it before.
Chris, you're known in the worlds of Anderson and beyond, of course, for your FX work on the likes of Doctor Who and Blake Seven.
And this podcast.
And this
Yes,
very podcast.
yes.
In fact, there's a little tease. That's
Yeah.
right. The opening and end
Yes,
credits.
your name is on the credits of every single episode, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah, it's not
Shows
bad
on a
going.
tweet,
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Well, we're going to be chatting to you about your experiences in the world of Anderson. We're going to be asking you to answer some questions from our podstrons, our viewers and listeners.
Again. Yeah.
Yeah, because I almost broke our Facebook page when I mentioned that you were coming on the show and asked them if they had any questions for you. Of course they have. So
They've always got questions.
yes, we'll be diving into the Space 1999 lunchbox of questions. Doom. Doesn't really
I mean,
work,
just-
yeah.
I look forward to
As we go along,
Doom is
yeah.
kind
We'll
of-
be playing some favourite clips of yours from the Anderson shows, talking to you about your so far illustrious career. It's early days, anything could happen.
well, yeah.
But so far it's
Absolutely
illustrious. And resurrecting a fan favourite, Super Magnification,
Oh, good.
just for you.
And he gets to press the big red button as well for the randomizer.
That's true, yes. Yeah. Will you join us in a couple of weeks' time to watch an episode of a random Gerry Anderson series?
I would love to.
Ah, you said yes. Great. We look forward to that. See what you choose a little later on. But first of all, then, Chris, give us a little kind of self-introductory paragraph. Who are you, and what on earth are you doing here?
So, I'm Chris Thompson. I am a creative generalist.
Oh yes. I thought it was about to say creative genius.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It's a term I came up with just because people kept asking me what I do, and I kept freezing and not really. It's because I'm a sort of a jack of all trades, master of none. But I've had to become an illustrator. I've had to become a filmmaker. I've been doing writing, and that's all under the umbrella of this company alone. But I also do other stuff outside it as well, like special effects work and model making and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, but essentially what I try to do is tell stories in as many different and interesting ways as I possibly can. And luckily I've been able to, for probably about 12 years, been working with this company, doing some really, really cool stuff.
And so how did it all start then? Do you remember what was your first sort of creative endeavour as a child or at school? Or
So my mum used to tell me that a fire engine drove past the house, and I drew it in almost meticulous detail from literally just the flash of it driving past the house.
Yeah.
But from there, I didn't really know what to do with my life. I obviously wanted to be an astronaut, but I didn't want to do maths.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah. So that was round about the time that the 2004 Thunderbirds movie and the 2005 Captain Scarlet series were coming out.
Okay.
So the internet was awash with concept art. And that's whenever I sort of started looking at the filmmaking process and particularly in how these worlds are created. I was fascinated by all these variations of Thunderbird 2 and the Angel Interceptors and all that. And it really got me into artists such as Dominic Lavery, who much of that was his work that was on display. And around the same time, it was back whenever computer magazines came with those free little DVD, like CD
Yes.
demos of stuff.
Oh, yes.
And
I've still got one that I still use to this day.
Really?
oddly enough. Yeah. I'm on a 30-day trial of Jask Paint Shop Pro that I bought in 2000 on the cover of a magazine.
Well, now they know.
yeah.
Oh, they
You have to
don't.
pay.
I think probably Jask or whoever has gone
Yeah.
bust since then.
Oh, funny.
But pretty much, yeah, one of those. One of them came with a landscaping and design tool called Design It 3D, which couldn't do textures, but it could do basic shapes. And the whole point was you're supposed to build like houses and like rough gardens and stuff with it. And I started building spaceships, and specifically, it was spaceships from both Godzilla and the Gerry Anderson stuff. I remember very distinctly. Like, it's one I always use every time I want to learn a new program, but Thunderbird 1, because it's a series of concentric squares and cylinders, like, it's always a good one to practice with. And I kept getting, like, new versions of these programs, and I kept getting incrementally better, and I started doing illustrations as well as little animated movies, and that eventually led into doing the Haynes technical manuals with Sam Demon and Graham Bleethman.
Okay,
And
yes.
then that basically led into working with Jamie.
Right.
And
right.
then it's being progressively more mad ever since.
Yes.
Yes.
It has a bit, isn't it?
Well, you've also worked for this gentleman, haven't you?
I have.
Yeah.
You've done a few things. The Demeter City, I think, was novel. Was your
Yeah, I remember actually the first time I reached out to you, because I think I'd met you at the first AnderCon.
Right.
And I was doing a picture of the police cruiser. And I asked you to pose for it.
Right.
So I got this wonderful image of you looking very dapper with your gun and in your shirt. And I think it was Charlotte.
Yeah.
Like, with a bed sheet behind you.
Yeah, that's right. In the garden, do you remember that?
Yeah.
That's right, exactly. Which then became the cover to Space Precinct Unmasked.
It did, yeah.
That's right, yeah. Now, obviously, I know the intricacies of FX and design and so on. But for our listeners and viewers at home who may not be quite so au fait with the industry, how on earth do you go about sitting in front of a machine, tapping some key words and some numbers and letters on a keyboard, and spitting out a fantastic design of a spacecraft? How does that work?
Magic, probably.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it sort of depends what the project is, because it's quite... I find myself I'm doing different things no matter what needs to be done. If like, say for instance, if you came to me and it was like, hey Chris, I need a spaceship and it needs to do X, Y, Z. Particularly with what I'm doing nowadays, the first thing I'd ask you is, do you want it done practically or do you want it done digitally?
Okay.
So, but either way, I'd jump into a program called Blender, and it's a free 3D program that you can use to effectively model and build shapes. And for instance, if you were doing something like Thunderbird 2, you would do a bunch of cubes, and then you would effectively subdivide them to make everything look really smooth, and then you'd pick edges which are hard edges, which are like the sharp elements, or edges which are soft, which would be like the rounder elements, and then you would just build it out of shapes effectively and slowly create a thing with it, and then you've got to paint it. So you have to do a process called UV unmapping, which is kind of like if it was a paper model, laying it all out flat and then coloring it all in and putting all the decals on. And then you've got to make another one, which is like, these are the bits that are shiny, these are the bits that are not. And then you've got to make another one, and like, this is where the dirt is.
Wow,
So,
right, okay.
It's a fun process.
But a long process by the sounds of it.
It can be.
Yeah.
I've vastly, because of the volume of work I've had to do for some of the projects that we've been doing, I've simplified it greatly just by taking shortcuts or not modeling bits that you don't see.
Yeah.
But also with the Anderson ones, we were discussing earlier. For instance, with Thunderbird 2 here, you have various moments where on some shots, Thunderbird 2, the 2 logo is enormous, and then on others, it's very small. And that's a consistent problem on a lot of the hero vehicles with the Anderson shows, isn't it? Well, not problem, but issue. Is that something you're like, okay, now I get to make a fun decision as to what we're going to do? Or is it sort of like, oh God, I've got to do something that pleases everybody and I'm going to please nobody?
Well, like, for instance, actually, like, that is a pretty good one regarding Thunderbird 1, because, like, Thunderbird 1 changes from shot to shot in the episodes, and they had, like, a first launch model, which, thanks to Century 21 Films, like, and the work that they've done, we now know is actually that model from Trapped in the Sky with the little T on the nose that everybody hates. And we've just done, or we're about to release diecast Thunderbird 1. It might already be out by the time this goes out. And I had to sort of pick which version of Thunderbird 1 we'd do, and I'd never seen one try to do the original kind of one with like the lower TB1 and the really sharp panel line on the side of it. So we did our best matching colors, but I was overruled by putting the little T on the nose and stuff. But because then you'd have to, because it doesn't have the side TB1s on the side as well. So again, you sort of have to work out like what's the average of all the Thunderbird ones and do it that way. But for something like the manual, I can have a page saying we just repaint it every couple of weeks because all the paint gets blasted off by the
of course, that
it's
makes
crashed
sense.
again.
Yeah. So talking of the Thunderbirds Technical Manual, the imminent tech manual,
Yes.
we'll come to that a little later on, and maybe even, with your permission, show some pictures from some of the pages that you've designed.
Declassified.
Yeah,
Never
that's
been
right.
seen before. Yes.
Exactly. But in the meantime, let's have a little look at a clip from one of your favourite Thunderbirds episodes. Take a look at this.
Rescue Headquarters. Please divert all ships nearest to TS-757/AR-436 to search the area.
Search aircraft launch term.
Good.
Approaching rescue area. Commence Operation Seahawk.
Now, as you can see, I deliberately chose a clip that was very model-heavy, as I thought that would appeal. That's from Operation Crash Dive.
Yeah.
What's so special about that episode, do you think?
I think it's just the amount of stuff that's in it.
Yeah.
You sort of, when it comes to Thunderbirds episodes, some of them struggle to justify their runtime, whereas other ones are clearly there's almost too much to go on, and it gives you like a really exciting episode with like stuff happening all the time.
Yeah.
And I think, because Chris, you know this better, it was one of the extended ones as well, Crash Dive,
I
wasn't
believe
it?
so, yeah.
Yeah, I think it has kind of like almost 2 rescues in it as well. So you have one fire flash that sort of sinks at the start, and then when they're trying to work out what's wrong with it, they send another one up, because these are obviously like a indefinite resource.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it's the music, it's the amount of action. See that like scene at the end with Fireflash crashing and Gordon is in the wing trying to like have a shootout with a saboteur.
10 seconds, Tracy. Oh no, it's so tense. Yeah.
It's just a really good like. It's that type of filmmaking that you would never have got if it was live action. Like one thing I enjoy about the puppet shows immensely, but Thunderbird specifically, is that had they done them live action, they wouldn't have done that, or you'd have got like the model stuff would be really pared back, and Fireflash.
Or they'd be having a fist fight.
Yeah, they'd be having a fist fight in like a warehouse somewhere.
Yeah. Lots of empty cardboard boxes to fall into and such. Yeah.
Pretty much. Whereas like they're in a crashing aircraft and they've got to get from one plane from the other, and then they're having like a shootout in the wing, and like you wouldn't get that in a Bond movie, let alone anything else. And I think stuff like that. Terror in New York City is another one where like there's so much going on, and it's so like in scope it's really really like this. It's movie-like, but almost beyond normal movie-like. Like, that's what I look for in a good Thunderbirds episode. And I think Crash Dive, Terror in New York City, and Trap in the Sky have that in spades.
Wow.
Now, in your FX work, then, do you try and sort of emulate what you have seen in these shows?
Kind of. So, a good example is when I do Doctor Who. So, I work with the BBC at the minute to revamp some of their older TV shows for Blu-ray. So there'll be an optional special effects track, which you can turn on if you so wish, if you want to see the show in a slightly different light. And the idea behind those is to kind of not modernize the shows, but imply that they had more money than they would have originally had. Like, make it so if it's something like Blake 7 or Doctor Who, like, find a contemporary that had like a lot more resources and try to match it up to that while kind of keeping the same vibe.
Yeah, interesting.
In those instances, I would probably try to match it. And if I was working on a Thunderbird show that was designed to like fit in with everything, I would absolutely try and do that in the same way. But there's little elements like not being too worried about like depth of field if it gets in some places, or like one of the big things on Blake 7 that we have is star fields, because like space has changed quite considerably. If you watch all the various iterations of Star Wars, space has gone from like a pin background to like an accurate sort of star map and stuff. And trying to capture that properly has been interesting, and it goes a long way to kind of making stuff look quite vintage.
Yeah, interesting.
Because you were saying earlier that it was important to you to match it to something of the same era. I think you gave Battlestar Galactica as the example. I suppose American shows of that era, compared to the BBC, certainly had a bit more money to throw at their effects.
They did. Like, the other contemporary you'd probably make for something like Blake 7 would be Space 1999. And in many ways, like, because a lot of the crew from Blake 7 came from Space 1999, like Martin Bauer and some of the others. But it's sort of, there's particularly for that one, there is an interview that they gave, and they had gone through the first couple of episodes, and then Star Wars came out.
Oh yes,
and they were just like,
no. We're sunk.
Is it Project Avalon, where there's this corridor shootout that's quite similar to something from the first Star Wars, and you can think, oh yeah, they saw that's the point where we know they saw Star Wars.
It's the episode. It's the first one with Travis where you see the hard reset that Blake 7 does, and so like it's not Andor anymore. It's Star Wars. Like, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But
Interesting. Now, a little later on, we'll be asking you to press the big red button and choose an episode on the Randomizer to watch in a couple of weeks' time. We'll also have a fab fact for you a bit later on.
That episode, probably, yeah.
And who knows, but possibly. But in the meantime, I'm going to ask you to dive into this Space 1999 lunchbox and take out some questions from our viewers and listeners.
Lots of questions.
So let's do this in two halves. So take about half of them out.
Okay, let's
leave half in there. That's it.
There we go.
We'll come to those later. So if you want to make your way through those first of all.
Okay, so Andy Isdaman. Do you remember how you made a CG model on a computer? How you first made a CGI model on a computer? How long ago was that, and what software did you use?
Okay.
So that was the one I was talking about, Design It 3D.
Yeah.
And the first model, because I definitely did a few Godzilla ones before I did. I do remember trying to do the Enterprise D, which whenever you've only got basic primitive shapes to do,
it's tricky.
It's a bit tricky. But the first one I remember making for a professional gig, I think, would have been Thunderbird 3. Well, not a professional gig, but the first one I kind of made with the aim for it to be really good was Thunderbird 3.
Right.
Or at least good enough to like be able to present on the internet.
Yeah.
Rich Goodborn. Hi, Chris. How much has Miss Willow Space Tracy twisted your ear over John and Thunderbird 5 parts of the technical manual?
Okay, so this is Willow Landon Smith, who we know is a big John Tracy fan.
Yes. Willow has been absolutely lovely and very supportive in all my endeavours.
But
no, she's been great. Like I know AC and her have been chatting quite a bit about it as well.
Yeah.
So hopefully we've done her proud.
I mean, that's a question, though, isn't it? How much of a responsibility do you feel to the fans who love and feel like they own this stuff when you come to take your pass at it? How much is that in the back of your mind?
It's sort of... Because I'm the really annoying fan that wants everything to be kind of correct, I'm sort of aware that, like, if I'm happy with it, like... That's probably good enough.
Okay, yeah.
Like that, I'm trying not to be too big-headed there, but like if I'm sitting there obsessing over a kit part on the side of a Hawk, or I'm stressing out over like the loading, like what the back doors do on Thunderbird 2, maybe like we're going to be okay.
Yeah,
I think.
okay. Right.
Potentially.
You're not just creating the artwork. In a lot of cases, you are one of the writers as well for all of this stuff, aren't you?
So I write it alongside Andrew Clements, AC. So AC tends to tackle a lot of the more like he'll do the character bios, and on the Thunderbirds manual we have case studies because we wanted to find a way to cover the other vehicles. So AC wrote a lot of those, and he also wrote the agent section, which lets him do a little bit of intrigue. but also on the Thunderbirds manual, instead of it being like a separate narrator, we have the characters introducing their sections. So it's a bit more of a creative writing thing anyway. So, for instance, John does Thunderbird 5.
Great.
So, and it's been a bit fun to add some humor in there as well.
Yeah,
because
it's always fun to write those characters in voices and then trying to match up to what went before.
So,
But it must be a thrill as a fan then of this stuff to see this stuff out there with your name on.
I think so. Like, it is every time I do one of these projects, and it's for more the narrative comics and like the films and stuff I do. Like, it's so strange whenever you like type into a script like Scott Tracy line.
Yeah.
Like, I know we were talking about Terrorhawks and like that sort of stuff. Like,
It's like you're reaching into this toy box, sometimes that someone hasn't touched in decades.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm taking out this very precious thing, and I've got to treat it right before I put it back and let someone else have a go.
Yeah.
It means so much.
I did I adapted the Revolution for one of the audio dramas that we did, and it opens up with Thunderbird 1 launching from the New York helipad. And I just remember, like, sitting in a cafe and, like, writing this thing. Because I can be very detached from this stuff when I'm trying to do it professionally. But I've been trying to get better at taking, like, a minute to be like, what the hell is my life?
How did I get here?
I'm getting paid for this?
Yeah, that was quite incredible.
Simpson clips. Hi, Chris. On the off chance that the tripods were to be remastered, would you consider doing the special effects?
Oh, tripods, 1980s, BBC, Kids TV.
I think so. I've not actually seen the tripods. But, like, I think Mike Tucker has one of the original props.
Right.
So I imagine if the BBC remastered tripods, they'd probably come to him first, which, like, as it's one I'm not too familiar with, like, I've got no problem. Mike and I work quite a bit on stuff lately, and he's an absolutely wonderful man, and
Yeah.
We should have him on the podcast.
Oh, we should. That'd be nice. Yeah. Okay.
from Lauren J. Gradwell. Hi, Chris. How did you learn to draw your Anderson pictures? Were you able to draw on paper first, or did you just learn on the computer and develop over time?
Ah, interesting. Were you a doodler as a kid?
So I am a doodler, but I'm actually not that good at drawing.
Right.
And this is something that I'm quite... I don't know if it's passionate about, but you sort of talk to people and they'll be like, oh, I can't draw a stick figure. And immediately they kind of rule themselves out as an artist. Whereas, like, I can't draw people to save my life. I've done courses, I've done, like, little workshops and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm still terrible at it. But I can go into Blender or I can go into Photoshop and I could do a kick-ass spaceship.
Right.
Like, that's completely my wheelhouse. Or a cool landscape or something like that. So it was just a case of realizing, okay, well, I can't do art that way, but I can do it this other way.
Yeah.
And luckily that happened to fit in with my rather lovely niche that I seem to have carved for myself.
Yes, clever that.
So, yeah, to answer your question, I do doodle, but... most of it, if I'm going to come up with something, it will be through like 3D modeling and stuff like that.
Yeah, interesting.
So what was your first major connection with the Anderson Entertainment side? Because I have a feeling it would be around sort of the time of the Terrorhawks audios, maybe, a bit before?
So my first contact with Jamie was from a fan film I made in 2010 called Thunderbirds 2010, which is
still available to view?
It's still able to view, slightly embarrassingly.
Excellent.
Go watch it.
The acting is awful.
Lovely.
Starring myself and my friend Guy, and with a lovely cameo from Andrew Clements at the end of it, which was like literally roughly around the time I first met AC, so it's that old. But after Gerry died, I got a message out of the blue from Jamie basically saying, this was really, really lovely to see, well done. Thank you for this. And I sent him a message back, like, thank you for your message. If you're doing any projects or anything like that, let me know. I will work for cookies.
And here you are.
And
here are the cookies.
Yeah, finally.
I met him at the Fanderson Terrorhawks event, and pretty much soon after that, he was like, hey, we have this Space Police script that we're publishing. We need a cover for it. So I ended up redoing the Space Police logo.
Right, nice.
And that was my first official gig for this company, though I'd done some artwork for the Eagle Moss test run before that, and I'd done some additional artwork for the Haynes, Thunderbirds, and Scarlet manuals.
Okay.
And the odd Fanderson thing as well, I'm thinking, is there a cover of the Spectrum hovercraft?
Oh, yes, so I did
With
a
a view
cover
on
of the
there?
Spectrum hovercraft, and I did Paradise Peaks and the
yes.
RTL2 flying
That's
over it.
right, yeah.
And then for the Anderson TV 21 convention, I did a bunch of background artwork that was on the screen whenever it wasn't in use, and that's where Gerry saw that. I have a photo of me meeting Gerry, and it was roughly around the time where he wasn't well.
Yeah.
But it was nice to actually have a quick chat with him.
Yeah, of course. Lovely. Now, in a previous email exchange, Chris, well, you said you could talk about these particular characters all day. So let's take a look at the first one. Scott Tracy, of course. What is it about Scott Tracy that you could talk about all day?
Honestly, it's Shane Rimmer's voice, I think.
Aha.
So people keep commenting on my accent that it's a bit weird. I don't know if you've picked up on it.
I wasn't going to say anything.
No.
And I have a weird suspicion because it veers between British English or
RP sort of received pronunciation, you mean? Or
not RP per se, but people call it transatlantic. And I have the weirdest suspicion that because I was getting bullied in school for being posh, I think I subliminally shifted my voice over to Shane's.
Yeah, I see. Okay, interesting.
So, but no, I he's my favorite Tracy brother. I really wished I'd given Scott more to do. And one of the things in the manual is that trying to justify
his existence.
Yes. And I sort of actually do that by pointing out that, so Thunderbird 1's a first response craft rather than a scout craft, as it's usually treated as. So it would most likely be the most used craft, and if it's like a light to medium rescue, it could probably just handle most of them itself.
Yeah.
Meaning that, Thunderbird 1 is probably the most used craft, but just most of its adventures are not epic enough for an episode of Thunderbirds.
Okay, yeah,
but,
I see. So he's busy between episodes.
But I think the newer Thunderbirds, Thunderbirds or Go, do a lot better in kind of justifying what he does and kind of gives the character a bit more to do.
Well, one thing I noticed on the artwork that you made to play in the background during the recent Thunderbirds 60 documentary produced by Sam Clements is that the lower section of Thunderbird 1 sort of drops down and it has the mobile computer in it.
So
I'm assuming that carries on to the technical manual as well.
So
I thought that was a cracking idea because no one's ever explored. I've always had this awful mental image of I'm here to save the day, just need some guys to help come over and lug this huge computer into the room that we don't.
Right.
Well, I can't take credit for that because that is Graham.
Ah, right.
So in the Haynes manual, I think he's put the cargo compartment in previous illustrations, but in the Haynes manual, you see it deployed.
Right.
And it's got one hover bike and then the mobile control. I really like it. I always hate the ladder because, how would they get out of Thunderbird 1? Because there's a bit of a debate where the door actually is because it's slightly, whenever he comes out of, when he's sort of boarding it from the, on the island, the door's a bit off center from the name. And, you can't really work out where it is in the set. And then there's the weird windows at the side, which you can't really work out where they're from. But there's a lot of fudging.
Which, to be fair, they were doing on the show anyway, weren't they? It's this point suddenly needs to produce a missile. Well, there's never been a missile here before.
Let's have it here.
Let's do it.
Yeah. And never mention it again.
Yeah.
Even the police cruisers, I know quite famously they were never supposed to be armed.
Yes,
and then they were.
Suddenly, double cannons. And what is it about Colonel White?
Colonel White.
There he is.
Colonel White. So there's something about Scarlet, and it's why your YouTube poop videos work so well.
Thank you.
Is because they're all kind of talking like this, and everything's extremely serious.
Yeah.
And I think Colonel White sort of embodies all that because he looks like he's never had a fun day in his life.
And on the rare occasions he tries, it's I'm sentencing you to death. Only joking. Off you go. Yeah.
But I just from a chronic overworker myself, there's just something about him that I kind of resonate with.
Yeah.
He's not out of all the leaders, I guess him and Einstein are the two you'd least want to have. But there is something weirdly likable about him.
Yes.
Now it's interesting. Out of the whole of the Anderson universe, you picked two characters there from the Supermarionation series. Are they your go-to rather than the live action stuff? Generally?
Sort of. It's odd because I grew up. Same as Chris, I had the 90s Renaissance, and that's where I picked all of it up.
Yeah.
But I would have been one whenever they first got repeated. So, for me, I can remember distinctly the first time I watched UFO because it never saw the repeat. It was a Steve Kite piece of artwork where, like, I first saw UFO and Terrorhawks, not really knowing what they were.
Was it that VHS cover montage of
Yeah.
against a white background? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
and it
gorgeous
had like
painting.
Skydiver and a UFO and
Yeah.
Gabriel Drake, and so most of the Supermarionation shows, except for Fireball Supercar and Secret Service, had just always been like there. And then, like, it would have been buying a DVD was whenever I'd seen the other ones. Space 1999 was on BBC Two, I think, and I remember watching it and not, like Space Precinct, not making the connection that this was all the same thing. I do like the shows. Doing the manual actually gave me a much bigger appreciation for UFO than I previously had, because, like, as a kid, it didn't resonate much with me. Whereas Space 1999, like, the vibe and music and stuff really appealed to me. But whenever I did the manual, it's sort of just whenever you do start seeing the holes in it and everyone's a bit grumpy with each other. I still love the show, and actually, like episodes like Troubled Spirit, Space Brain, because I had that VHS, and even Breakaway, like, they're brilliant episodes. But yeah, I think it's the fantastical stuff is what I really kind of veer to.
Yeah, interesting. And on that note, here's another clip from one of your favourite series. Have a look at this.
Say, Phones, am I seeing things? The water's turning pink. Try, look. Phones, let's get out of here. The ocean's freezing by the second. If we don't get below the surface, we've had it. Flood Q, dive, dive, dive.
Troy, we're not moving. We're iced up.
Gasp. What did he say just before dive, dive, dive?
Fuck you.
Flood Q.
Fine. Yes, that's a relief.
What I love about that scene is that they've gone out specifically to look for pink ice, and they know that it's if they see it, they've got to get away quickly. Pink ice. It's important that we leave now. If we don't leave now, something. But we should we go? just go. Just get on with it. Oh, bless.
Yeah, I don't like Pink Ice is an interesting episode. It's one of those ones where I love the opening of it, like where the ball comes up and you get that kind of ice music that Barry Gray has, and then like everything, the ship slowly gets frozen in, and there's the aliens as well. You never see them.
Yeah, you never find out who's responsible for that.
Right. And like that was really fun because I did the Stingray manual last year, and I just kind of sort of dug into the mystery. It's like whenever the alien craft was like observed, there was like no like components where a normal human could fit in, like that kind of thing. It was a series of tubes inside. But I just love that aspect of the episode. And then later on, when they're using like atomic missiles to like break the ice, which seems overkill, but it is Stingray. Just the response to every situation is just blow it up with hydraulic missiles.
Yeah.
But it's one of those episodes that, because I do love Stingray as well, and the Stingray manual was one of the ones I really kind of zeroed in on, and it was the one I've been trying to campaign to get to do for ages. And it's because I love that mix between the like hard sci-fi of the surface world and then the kind of like steampunk-esque fantasy of the undersea world. And then I got to do this whole the politics of it, like kind of like what you were doing with the Titanic and Stratagem. Ta-da!
There
It's just a little planet.
But there it is.
Still available.
But yeah, it's like trying to like, okay, so what's the politics? Where are all these civilizations located? How do they interact with each other?
That's the really interesting part, I think, of that tech manual is the relationships between all these races and such, because it never gets touched on in the show.
Yeah.
I think briefly, there's one episode where Titan says, "Oh, these races that I've conquered, they won't renew their treaties with me," and it's that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
What's going on there? But,
Yeah.
But I sort of, and there's all those little bits of lore that you never saw about like how old Titan is and all the stuff about like what is trifle. And I think I kind of zeroed in on the fact that like Titan's just using this puppet fish to kind of scare the aquamphibians into following him and stuff.
Yeah, and I did a similar thing where in mine, I think it's like Titan believes in him, and X20 is just like, no, this is just a stupid fish that you fed too much. It's fun to take those things and sort of put your own interpretation on them, because you know that no one else is really going to have the chance to do that.
But I think it's also really cool to kind of do it from a perspective where you're like you're not like, if I ever went, like, if we get to do this Scarlet manual, which presumably is next up, like, it's fun to not definitively say what the Mysterons are, but to, like, here's a series of theories of what they could be.
Okay,
Yeah, because the prevailing one seems to be, it's computers. They're either computers left behind by an... And I've never quite bought that as, like, a definitive answer, so it'd be interesting to hear different theories as well. But presumably you've done most of the classic shows by now?
Yeah, so...
Because there's Supercar.
Yeah, so it sort of depends on how much we can do for a manual, because the shortest manual is Fireball, I think, at 110 pages. And that's probably as thin as we can go with it.
Yeah.
Whereas Supercar would be like 30 pages, and you'd get the laboratory and Supercar herself, and maybe some exploits. I did think it'd be nice to do like a box that you could slot all the manuals in, because they do look very nice side by side, and maybe having a little leaflet that you can stick in part of that for Supercar.
Four Feather Falls as well, Here's a guide to a wagon.
But like, even there's also Secret Service, which Gabriel, the Minimizer.
Gabriel, and some guest vehicles that were lifted from other shows, most likely.
Like the Aquatank and all.
Yeah.
But Scarlet's the only major one of that kind of core, like 1960s ITV set. So there is a potential for us to do Terrorhawks and Space Precinct. But basically, when we get there, like, that's a sort of, we're going to work out like how that will do, because we've had obviously the Space Precinct Blu-ray come out, so that gives us the gauge there, and we've had the Terrorhawks, year of Terrorhawks that we had a few years ago to kind of gauge that. So we'll see.
Yeah. And you've also got, I'm not quite sure how to word this, but I'll just say, when you did the trailer for Terrorhawks Series 3, there was a clip from a story that I wrote, and I was just so impressed to see, it's a clip from one of my stories, and it's moving. And you said, we put that on the set of, like, the Albatross hangar from New Captain Scarlet. Am I right in thinking that you have various set elements from New Captain Scarlet, or am I blowing a massive secret here?
No, it's not a secret, because I've been doing work with them. Like, whenever we did Operation Sabre, we showed some of the models off there as well. But I was chatting with Dominic Lavery a while back, and he was saying that all the models were like lost. A bank bought New Captain Scarlet, and basically all the hard drives were just like thrown away or put in a storage box somewhere. But he was like, but I've got some references. So he sent me some Lightwave files. And whenever I downloaded Lightwave and opened it, it was the models. The exact thing. So I have the Albatross, I have Skybase, which has to be loaded in 3 parts, because back in the day, like, it would crash the computer if they did it as one file.
Yeah.
I've got the Rhino, I've got the Druzhnig, I've got the Skyrider, like the bikes, and I've got the Bison, which is the lunar Mars rover.
So is this exteriors and interiors? Or just
exteriors.
Exteriors.
But also recently, like, Jamie found a hard drive of a lot of the sort of the animatic stuff. So they'd have the rough sets for a bunch of stuff, and then like Captain Scarlet's head's in there along with his hat as well. And so there is a lot of a treasure trove in regards to New Scarlet that we do have access to, which might make it
Maybe we should do something with that.
Yeah.
Maybe we will.
Could happen.
Could happen.
Now, hold your horses. We will be getting to the Thunderbirds Technical Manual in just a moment.
Honestly,
aren't they? Just wait a
know who
minute.
they are.
Because first of all, we're going to go back into our Space 1999 lunchbox. And let's take out the last of those questions. There's still quite a few there, so don't be afraid to take them all out, and let's make our way through them.
Right.
Lovely.
Emily Davies. Hi, Chris. What vehicle was your favourite to build?
Aha.
There's so many of them, isn't there?
Yes.
I do love Skydiver. And I think particularly, like, there's a piece of artwork, a double-page spread of Skydiver and some of the other sea vehicles that Shadow had. That it's one of the ones that's my portfolio pieces. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I have recently just modelled the SPV for something, and it's a very difficult shape to do, and it's sort of, I feel like I've conquered a little Everest.
Yeah, really.
just because it's all concentric curves all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
It must also be fun to create your own vehicles within this world, because I think quite famously you created the Tomahawk for the second audio series of Terrorhawks, and it fits right in to the existing vehicles, at least I feel.
Well, thank you.
Was there any sort of challenge in doing something like that?
Sometimes, like, that was literally... it kind of just came up. I got an email from Jamie being like, hey, we're designing this new vehicle. The Tomahawk was part of the original pitch document. And I think Martin Bower did a version, which is like, it separates in two. But he needed effectively an advanced space fighter. And I sent Jamie a couple of concepts, and in true Jamie style, he was like, just merge them. So,
Okay.
and one of them was literally the Terra pen, like, you know, the little piece of merchandise they made back in the day. But no, I'm really happy with the Tomahawk because, for one, Richard Ash had built me a scale model of it, which looks pretty epic. But it does look quite unique in the way that the other Terrorhawks vehicles look quite unique.
Yeah.
So the thing that I used on the Tomahawk to set it apart was to have a backslung cockpit. So it looked like it was sort of being a chariot at the back of this huge space plane type thing. But I also got I did a Terrorhawks comic called Deep Blue Z a couple of years back, and we got to resurrect some of Steve Begg's old designs for that. So we had the Snowhawk, which was like sort of a wheeled vehicle with like interchangeable, like extendable arms. And then also one that you'd already played with, the Seahawk.
Yes.
That was from your one, wasn't it?
No, but it was on Series 3. Yeah, I
Yes.
think that was David Hirsch's episode.
Self and Misadventure?
That's the one, yeah.
Yes, so we had Seahawk as well, which was another of Steve's old concepts. And he was... I showed them to Steve, and he's very happy to see them get used.
Yeah.
I'm sure he is.
After 30 years.
Yeah.
Whatever it was at that point, yeah.
Let's have another question.
Steve Bushell, apart from the tragedy that you haven't been headhunted yet, or have you? I like to think I have.
Well, yeah.
Which is your favorite CGI company? Lightspeed? Question mark.
Okay.
I don't really follow that many specific CG companies, if I'm going to be entirely honest.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the name of them. The one that they did the effects for Star Trek Voyager back in the day, but they also did a show reel for Battlestar Galactica and Space 1999. It's like Zoid or something like that.
Yeah.
So
Drawing a blank there.
Yeah.
that's fair. So yeah, I don't know a specific company, but like I do tend to follow like specific directors and things like that. And I'm a huge fan of, like, I think particularly whenever you see directors handle spaceships, like I'm a big fan of how J.J. Abrams does it. Maybe not necessarily with the lens flares, but like he always finds a new way to shoot the Enterprise.
Right. Yeah.
That's always really interesting to see.
Yeah.
But Foundation Imaging, that's the one.
Oh, yeah.
So, Jake F. Grave. Hi, Chris. I remember watching a Thunderbird 1 video back when I was young. How did you get into CGI, art, and animation? So, this Thunderbird 1 video was the first kind of thing I put up to YouTube, and it was... I must have been about 14, and I launched Thunderbird 1, and it's not even full CG animation, it's stop motion, like, because I didn't know how to image sequence, or like do keyframes, so I literally would just move the ship, take a picture, move the ship, take a picture. And then I set it to like a piece of music from Godzilla X Megagulus. And so it's probably still the most highly viewed thing on my YouTube channel.
Amazing.
But
and you're happy to have all this stuff up there as a kind of just a...
Yeah, well, just if people want to see what I looked like when I had more acne. Yes.
And also to get a sense of your journey and your career. It's an interesting record to have, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose so. Like, there's no skeletons up there that are too embarrassing.
I've got a whole series of
That's on the other channel.
Yes.
Right.
It's Chris Thompson After Dark. But no, yes, how did I get into CGI and art and animation? Just by following Thunderbirds and New Captain Scarlet.
Yeah.
Just watching that thing get made and being like, wow, I kind of want to do that.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you for your question. Andrew Clements. Hi, Chris.
Oh, him.
Long-time friend. First-time crank question actor. Were you born a creative genius, or did you acquire your talent in some sort of improbable plane crash origin story?
I mean, that's an interesting point. Are you born with it, do you think, or is this something you've had to
Or is
work
it
at?
Maybelline? I don't specifically believe... I think anybody can be an artist. It kind of goes back to the drawing thing. It's like there is going to be something you can do that is creative. You just kind of need to find it.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was this question again?
Are you a creative genius?
Yes.
Is this question
Who's this
really?
guy?
Yeah. I think we've covered that.
Yeah, the improbable origin story, lightning.
Yeah.
But also, specifically mentioning Andrew there, if I can word this delicately, you are a pair of names that are often associated together. The tech manuals are a fine example. You've done most of those together. So to what extent do you kind of rely on each other, or do you consider yourself like a creative partnership as such?
We do. Like, because like I work AC, we live quite close to each other and we hang out every week, and it was really cool to bring AC on board, like Anderson Entertainment. Like a couple of years in, we used to do the email newsletter that everyone would used to get. Like that was us.
Right.
So if it was spelled incorrectly, it'd be my bits. And
Yeah.
if it was like meticulously perfect, it'd be AC's bits. And then we would also do some of the initial posts on like Facebook and Twitter and stuff.
Yeah.
And also, like, AC is, like, if I'm, like, a good visual reference library for what goes on in these shows, AC can remember the scripts down to, like, a T.
Yes. Yeah.
To, like, a terrifying degree. To be fair, like, kind of like you.
Yeah. We have occasionally had moments where we're sort of just double-checking with each other. It's like, can you confirm this? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
right. Yeah.
The council has decided your fate.
Yeah.
So, usually, even if he's not on a project I'm working on, usually AC will be, I'll run stuff by him.
Yeah.
Partly because I'm incredibly dyslexic, but also just because he is a great resource and he's very useful at telling if one's work is not very good.
Yes.
Which is very important when you're an artist, to have people who will just tell you how it is.
Yeah.
But David Hollis. Hi, CT. I've been watching your work with Richard Ashton's Liberator. Your FX work looks magic. Is there an Anderson show that you would like to see being remade that you'd like to work on? Also, what show other than Anderson would you you'd like to work on? Keep up your great work. You're on the footsteps of the great Derek Meddings. I hope you have a great path in FX. Good luck. Thank you, David.
I mean, do you feel that? Do you feel you're part of that lineage?
You've worked with some sort of legendary names now with the BBC stuff.
Matt Irvine and Mike Tucker.
Yeah.
I think because those guys are so, like, personable. Like, both of them, they're just really chill, and there's not a sense of ego between them. Like, and obviously I know Steve Begg as well. And again, it's the same. Like, it's really something that's always been pretty cool is that you sort of, I would have initially had a lot of imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And then when you do work in the BBC, and someone like Mike Tucker turns to you and goes, "What do you think?
Yeah.
Like, what do you need to make the shot
And
to
you
work?"
realise they are just ordinary blokes.
Well, not even that, but it's also like, oh, like...
They value your opinion.
They value my opinion, but
Yeah.
also, like, you know, it's like, oh, these guys are also incredibly professional and stuff like that. Like, it's... But also just really great human beings that you can just nerd out all evening with. About, like, the most randomest stuff.
So what Anderson show would you resurrect if you could to work on?
Well, there's sort of the question of what Anderson show would I resurrect in terms of puppets and doing it exactly as it was done in the day, or what Anderson show would I resurrect as a new thing? Like, I would love to do Thunderbirds or Scarlet. Like, just try and resurrect those ideas. I'd also love to try and do, not a gritty version of Thunderbirds, but, like, if there was to be a live-action version of Thunderbirds, try and keep that fantastical element while trying to bring in not even soap opera elements, but, like, I've been watching a lot of Chicago Fire, like, recently when I was doing the manual, because it's kind of good to have a little bit of that, like, sort of how an actual first responder would work and integrate that back into that, but have a little bit more of a character stuff going on, a little bit more of a human side.
Okay.
And, like, they turn up to, like, a disaster area and like, they have to actually deal with the fact that there's earthquake survivors that might need actual
I don't
help.
think you ever see anyone from International Rescue applying first aid to
Yes.
anyone who isn't from International Rescue. I think Scott gets his head bandaged by Tintin once. That might be about it.
I think I mentioned it's there was something, I think it was an early version of the Revolution where Tin literally has a line that was like, "What do you need me to be today? Like an engineer or a medic?" Because those were her two jobs in the show. But in terms of other shows and things I'd like to work on, and what a show that I'd probably revamp in a slightly different way would be UFO, because I think a modern version of UFO that again retains all the spaceships and all the moon bases and stuff like that, and the vibe of UFO, but also. Like, I would love to do it like it's still in an alternate 1980s, and it's really slick, because that's kind of UFO's brand, is that, like, it's not just X-Files or whatever.
Yeah.
But in terms of other things, like, I'm a massive Godzilla fan, and I would love to do a Godzilla.
Right.
And, like, again, it's all spaceships and giant monsters, and
So we were talking over lunch, and we were talking about other similar sci-fi things, and I'd love to do it. I'd love for you to do a Star Cops. I'd love for there to be a proper Star Cops Blu-ray set. I would buy that in a heartbeat.
And even speaking of, like, talking of, like, tokusatsu Japanese kind of stuff, like, Ultraman is a show that was kind of the Japanese alternative to the Anderson stuff, and it's worth a watch. It's basically just, like, I guess, Thunderbirds with giant monsters popping up every episode. But, like, I would love to do something like that as well.
Yeah. I saw one of those once, and I didn't quite realise what I was watching. I think it was on, like, Shout Factory streaming. And there was just this something about a futuristic tunnel, and it just seemed very Anderson-y. And then I think Ultraman turned up, and I realised what it was that I was watching, because until that point I had no idea. It does look a very interesting world. I'm sure you could do great with that.
It's really fun when you get into the later Ultraman series, and kind of like the way that... the Thunderbirds model team would have used a bunch of girder bridge sets and things like that. The Ultraman model team use IMI Thunderbirds kits. So you just see bits of like the mole stuck to like these vehicles.
Brilliant.
There's I think some Italian sci-fi films where you can see these spaceships cobbled together from bits and pieces, and you definitely see the eagle beak. I think maybe Star Crash or similar films. Yeah.
Well, it's funny actually, because like in Doctor Who and Blake 7, it's eagle bits are everywhere.
Yeah.
Like there's a hangar in the original Blake 7 episode Deliverance. There's a sequence where they find this underground rocket ship, and in the original version there's you can see all the eagle leg pods around. So for the new one, and I like to do a couple of shots completely in camera. So for this particular one, I got like a shelving unit out of B&Q, like a little plastic one, and I cut it up and I put like a Revell rocket in, and then I had an old Eagle model kit that I had started to build and gave up on, so I fashioned it into like a launch gantry and put all the relevant Eagle pods everywhere.
Yeah, right.
And naturally, like, everyone can recognize that.
Yeah.
But also having all those Eagle bits is incredibly useful when you're trying to work out how big a model was originally.
Yeah.
So there is a ship that's in Blake 7 season 3. Mike already accidentally talked about this, so it's been somewhat announced. But he was able to work out how big a ship was from the Eagle pod on the side. So
okay.
And there's even another model I'm working on which I can't talk about, but like there was an Eagle cage on the side of it, and I was like, there we go.
Is there ever a sort of an in-joke like that you've slipped in, and you're the only person who's likely to get it? What's the most obscure joke that there is?
Honestly, mostly just me putting Godzilla ships everywhere. Like, there's one from Destroy All Monsters, and it's the Moonlight SY3, and like it's basically Thunderbird 1 with more curves. Like, it's a lovely design, and it pops up. I've put it into one of the Big Finish Doctor Who trailers. Like, it's around Space City from the Blake 7 season 2 episode Shadow. I use it loads of places. Funny enough, the Albatross interior, because the Albatross is a cage that descends that allows the Rhino to drive out. I use that all over the place.
Yeah.
So
I think that might be what I was thinking of in the Terrorhawks trailer, possibly.
Because like it's 0 and 5.5 or
35, looking at an unnamed Lazoon, shall we say, for
it's a copyright
no one comes after us. Yes.
So they're in that cage for the Anti-Genesis trailer for Doctor Who. The Daleks come out, voiced by Nick Briggs, and they're in the Albatross cage.
Right.
For the Eagle variant that I designed that has the deployable cage for the vehicles to come out, that's just the Albatross cage, because I just kit bash as quickly as I can.
So for a one-season show that appeared and disappeared very quickly, the elements have had something of an afterlife thanks to you.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I guess it's one of those things where, like, you can sort of... Because it's a thing that you would have seen all the time. Like, Star Trek... like Voyager used to reuse assets all the time, so it'd be the same spaceship. Or I think famously, it's one of those like at the top of a Romulan ship is very obviously like just used as a full-on ship, and like whenever you get into CG, like you can kit bash stuff so easily out of other bits. It's just surprisingly fun.
I seem to recall the CGI Captain Blue himself turning up in a toy commercial somewhere.
Okay.
I don't remember what for, but yeah, just a brief shot of this Captain Blue turning around, saying something into a radio, and then they cut to the toy.
Okay.
Yeah, there was talk at the time that might have been just the Captain Blue character. So where those files ended up, who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. But you've got the vehicles.
I've got some of the vehicles.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I don't have the Falcon Interceptor. I don't have the Cheetah. And I don't have the Hummingbird or the bike. So, but
would it be an arduous task to recreate those if you had to?
I could. I think the thing with Dominic's work is that Dominic again uses a lot of those like lines and concentric circles and stuff, and just curves and things. So they're tricky. But like again, it's one of those things. If I can do an SPV, you can do anything. So yeah.
Easy.
You just need to take time and
More questions.
So Robert Monk. Hi Chris, how do you manage to put up with all Imposterons consistently nagging you?
Do they nag you?
Not really, no. To be fair, I'm not on Facebook much, so they
Very
might.
sensible.
But apart from the Anderverse, what other shows have inspired you over the years? So I love my Star Trek.
In all iterations, modern and
pretty
old?
much.
Yeah.
Like the modern stuff's fun. I like it. Doesn't quite scratch the nostalgia itch, but like there's a lot of good stuff in there. Doctor Who, obviously. When I was doing Stingray, I watched a lot of Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. Like I love MacGyver. It's good fun. AC and I recently watched the pilot for Airwolf.
Oh yeah,
right,
Not too long ago. So I do love little shows like that.
Yeah.
And to be fair, like I tend not to like. Because I tend to work on these sci-fi shows quite consistently, you do forget to watch them for fun.
Yeah. Ross and I were talking yesterday. He was saying that he was thinking of rewatching Thunderbirds, and I thought, what Anderson show would... I was just... It just occurred to me, would I like to rewatch an Anderson show at the moment? And I just kind of thought, actually, no, because I live it so much every day. I kind of need a break.
I do remember having like an interesting experience. It was in lockdown, and like I was like knee deep in the Space 1999 manual at the time. And I just remember being like, I just want to watch some Thunderbirds. And I watched, like, for probably the first time in, like, years, I just watched it. Like, I'm not trying to look for reference. I'm not trying to... I was like, oh, this is very good, actually. It's still as good as I remember it to be.
Yeah.
And speaking of the 1999 manual there, that has been a massive success, that one in particular, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's one of those things where... So if it doesn't have Thunderbirds in the title, a lot of like of the outside publishers tend not to take the risk. And Space 1999 was one of the ones that people have sort of approached about and maybe been like, and then they get cold feet. Or like a few people have also got a bit nervous about approaching Space 1999 because the fan base is quite notoriously like precise.
Yeah.
Right.
And like, even I don't think we anticipated how well it was going to do either, but it was one of those things where we kind of like we didn't half-ass it whatsoever. Like I think because it was the first one, and like except for like a 20-page Space Precinct comic, that was my first book, so I didn't know what quality threshold to hit, so I was kind of just absolutely, and also because of lockdown, I didn't have anything else to do, so I was just kind of like annihilating this thing as detailed as possible. And doing like 300, I think it was like 284 pages in the end of just
quality.
Hopefully.
But then you've set a standard, you've set a precedent that everything else has to live up to.
Well, that's the thing. It's like we kind of started with the worst one. So by the time you get to like Fireball and it's like a toilet roll tube with like two golf balls in the end, like just...
And yet, I mean, I know that one of the tech manuals was. I'm not sure if we're allowed to say who this person was, but there was a very prominent celebrity fan of said show.
Yeah.
Ended up with a copy, which was...
I think we are allowed to say.
Are we allowed to say?
It's Tom Hanks.
Was it Tom Hanks? Oh, I was thinking someone else. Yeah. No, Tom Hanks. Yes.
Yeah, that was... That was weird, but like I know that the Akutas have a Space 1999 manual. Like you see them like in the background of people's shots, and you're just like, oh, okay. Like,
Would you buy a Space Precinct manual?
No, I've lived it.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
I don't read about it. That's right.
It's funny. I was actually at the Peterborough Museum in like the Doctor Who Museum the exhibition they've got on, and they have a piece of the wall decoration that they used all over Space Precinct, like the kind of triangle pattern on the walls that they would use all over Precinct 88. And I just think of you and just like, oh, that'd be just
home sweet home.
So Paul Hyde. Hi, Chris. Silly question. How much time and effort do you put in when doing books like Stingray Joe 90? More importantly, when is the Thunderbirds Technical Manual coming out? Do I enjoy doing the effects for Blake 7 with the model work?
A few questions there. So firstly, Thunderbirds Technical Manual is on the way imminently as we speak.
I think at this point we're hoping for the hope was for September, but like it's one of those things where you don't want you want to take the time for as much as long as it's going to take. It is done. It's off with Amazing 15 at the minute, and we're currently working on the special edition, which by popular demand we're kind of going back to kind of the level that the Space 1999 special edition was, with like a hard case and some bespoke goodies inside.
Radiation detector, yes.
But I'm quite impressed with what they've been able to pull off with the special thing that comes with it, as well as like art and things like that. In terms of how much time and effort do I put in, I sort of enter a fugue state for a good couple of months. Like Shadow and Space 1999 took longer just because they're sort of Century 21 or Group 5 at the top of their game, and I wouldn't necessarily have had all the models. Whereas something like Thunderbirds, because we'd been doing Thunderbirds calendars for years up to this point, I kind of knew that, okay, I would need to, like, if I'm going to build something, I'm going to need to build it to last. Because I know eventually a Thunderbird manual is coming down the line. And, like, most of the time is going to spend up doing, like, things like launch gantries and bays and
every single one of those pod vehicles, no matter how obscure, presumably
every single one and more.
Ooh,
wow. So yeah, I think the Thunderbirds manual I would have I think it took a full year, if I'm being reasonable. Admittedly, with Blake 7 season 2 slotted in the middle of that, but pretty much I was kind of juggling a few things at the time, because I think I literally wrapped on slow-mo and went straight to Thunderbirds. And or maybe that was wrapped on slow-mo straight to Stingray, I can't quite remember. But so because Stingray overran a little bit and then that ate into Thunderbirds. Either way, it was a lot.
Well, slow-mo is something we haven't even mentioned yet, isn't it?
On the
Wonderful.
Space Precinct Blu-ray set.
Short, yes.
That's right.
But also, I do enjoying doing the effects for Blake 7. Basically, I was listening to your interview that you did a while back, and you did mention that one of the things that you kind of strive for is collaboration.
Yes.
Like doing a lot of stuff by yourself, and that's why I've sort of not moved away from CG, but like I want to be able to go to my friend's house and, you know, play with an alien puppet or something, or like rent out a studio space and get a full-scale model of the Liberator and treat it like it's the motion picture enterprise. And it's having people, like I work with Ben Page, who everyone will know, Connor Flanagan, who I've done comics with for Anderson Entertainment, Andrew Clements, Ryan Wade, who is one of our model makers, and he does a lot of 3D printing, and Richard Ashton, who people will know for a lot of his Anderson models as well. And getting a crew like that together and just making cool stuff like is really, really cool. And like it's like, while I still do CG, it's hard to go back whenever you can sort of have that fun moments with your friends and
interesting
like shoot something and then everyone gather around the viewfinder and then watching this ship suddenly come to life. And so it is very fun is what I'm trying to say. P charting. Hi Chris, what is your favorite piece of Anderson inspired artwork that you've created? Your work is FAB. Thank you, Peach. One that always kind of sticks with me is I used to give my artwork pieces names, and it was this one was called "This Time It's the Last Time," and it's a shot of the elevator car like underneath Fire Flash, and like I don't I've not been able to replicate the effect since, but like I had the wheel and it's exploded and it's ripped and it's going around and it looks like the whole thing is getting crushed.
Yeah.
And I remember putting that up, and then DC Thompson like emailed me the next day to do them some art for their Thunderbirds Are Go comic pitch that they were doing. So not only do I think that's one of my best pieces of work, but like it's nice that I got that immediate sort of feedback, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that's the one that always kind of sticks to my mind, I think. There's a few others, but there's one of them I've actually redid or like remastered some of my old art pieces for the Thunderbirds manual. So there's one I've always been fond of, which is it's Thunderbird 2, and it's in the middle of a storm, and it's just lifted a submarine out of the ocean, and there's these like other craft like sort of around it, and it's all illuminated from below. And the first version of that was actually signed by Gerry as part of a Anderson pod vehicle competition, where the prize for the pod vehicles was, the prize for whoever designed the pod vehicle was I would do artwork of them. And as part of that, Nick Williams asked me to do my own piece. And then he got that signed by Gerry as well. So I've got that up in my...
Nice.
But I've remastered that for the book as well.
Right. Yeah.
And then,
What's been the trickiest vehicle to do? Or have there been any where you've just like, this is such a headache, I'm going to completely abandon this?
anytime I've got to do a car. For some reason, my brain doesn't like cars. So Straker's car, Foster's car, and Sam Louver's car are 3 ones which like drove me insane. And I think the reason for that is because like you can just walk outside and see a car.
Yeah.
So if you've got a bit wrong, or like if you've got like the finish wrong or something like that,
Right.
it's really obvious.
Yes.
Right.
And also that they're really like, it's a rocket is a series of concentric cylinders, which is like really easy to do. Whereas like you've got to put the curves in, and then like Foster's car is that weird grill at the front, and it's cool. But again, it's like, it's not where my brain goes. Like I'm a spaceships guy.
Yeah.
Kind of
If
thing.
they don't fly, what's the point?
Yeah.
There we are.
Which is why you've got the jet car. Matthew Mayhew, what's been your favorite effect to recreate? Ruben the Rutan, the Dalek mothership. Which effect sequence would you like to recreate from any TV show or film, Anderson or other? I am quite fond of the Rutan, and I am quite fond of the Dalek mothership, though the Dalek mothership was one that was quite tricky, because the original model for it was huge. Like, they really wanted it to be a big, crowd-pleasing opening effect, kind of like the Trial of the Time Lord station was.
Oh, yeah.
But the reason that we ended up redoing it is because they underlit it with only one lamp and you can't see what's going on. There's been a bunch of stuff with the Liberator that has been really, really lovely, mainly because of the amount of time that the effects crew had in that show, and if I have to be real, maybe not being given the most respect by the higher-ups at the BBC at the time, because a lot of their work, they shot a bunch of stuff, and then directors would be like, well, I want to shoot my own stuff, and it would be terrible. So, and that's what got reused a lot in Blake 7. Being able to kind of go back and do some new beauty shots of the Liberator has been really, really nice, and treat it like it's a full film TV miniature. But then again, like I tend not to sit around and think, oh, I really want to redo that shot. And particularly looking at stuff like this, like Thunderbirds and stuff, I don't really want to redo stuff. I want to do new stuff.
Yeah.
And like that would be really cool. And of course, I would quite like to do new stuff, as in like original stuff as well.
Yeah.
So, but hopefully one day.
Yeah. It's time then for you to talk us through some pages from the Thunderbirds Tech Manual.
I'll do my best.
So these some that you sent us earlier on.
So, just I need to stress that this is just fresh from Amazing 15. So if there is any spelling mistakes, we will get them.
Sure.
I like that.
Thunderbird
Yeah.
6.
That, yeah.
So subject to final approval, but yeah, it's in there. This is what's in the book. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's just off 300 pages, so it's slightly longer than the Space 1999 manual. We go into quite a lot of detail. You can see the sheer amount of pod vehicles. You can see some pod vehicles that appeared but were never used, as in the hover platform from Security Hazard. We've got a new one in there called the Snowcat. There is some TV21 stuff in there as well. So the fire truck also has the Master Firefighter in it. And yeah, we've got bits of Tracy Island. I have meticulously recreated the Thunderbird 1 silo, both ends of it.
Yeah.
Mateo Island, that's a 90s comic thing, isn't
Yes.
it?
So, well, it's a TV21 comic thing, because that's where they capture the Eagle, I think it is, the RTL2.
Right, yeah.
But Graham had done a couple of cutaways of it, so it's been mentioned in the show, so it's in there. And then what I really enjoyed doing was the case studies at the end. And we have all these episodes, and then the Solar Surveyor incident, which is based off a 90s comic called Disasters Incorporated, and the SS Richard Montgomery incident, which has been in the news somewhat recently, is a new one that I've written. For people that don't know, the SS Richard Montgomery is a World War II ammunition ship that's in the Thames Estuary.
Yes.
That, if it exploded, would be very bad.
Yes. Yes, it could happen.
It's funny because the amount of times that, if you want to inspire yourself with Thunderbirds, just watch a series of Tom Scott videos.
Right, okay.
Just be like, let's just extrapolate from here. Very close to my heart, my favorite Thunderbird. Here's Thunderbird 1.
Mm-hmm.
So here's just the introductory piece to it. Mm-hmm. We've got its 3 main roles. It's done by Scott Tracy. And of course, we've got some artwork of the craft herself, chasing a hadronic missile.
Yeah.
This is the Thunderbird 5 control room. And this was a set that, in my head, I don't think I had properly mapped out. It's sort of, you see it in the show, but you never really get a good overview of it. And particularly whenever you get into season 2, the set keeps chopping and changing. Yeah. You might notice this bit to the left here, the secondary control room, is because that version of the set doesn't have any of this side. So,
okay, yeah.
And because on Graham's artwork he mentions that Thunderbird 5 has 2 control rooms, I figured like that's the only time we see that.
And I also mentioned there of a recent refit program as if
Yeah.
to sort of cover any discrepancies.
Well, yes, that was something that we kind of looked at, because obviously there's 2 versions of all the sets across the entire show. And I opted for the season 1 variants because those are the more iconic versions, and also the season 2 variants are so detailed. Like, I didn't want to give myself an aneurysm with the sheer amount that I had to do.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like there's a sort of almost TARDIS console in the middle of the room, isn't there, for like the second series, and a Stingray injector chair. That's the thing.
So the injector chair is always there, except not for this shot. But everything kind of goes a bit green and taupe. And like it's nice, but the season 1 stuff with all the primary colors, I think is kind of what screams Thunderbirds to me.
Fantastic.
But yeah, these are just 3. There is obviously 294 other pages to look forward to.
But if you want to see them, you have to pre-order the book.
Well, quite. That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. Probably by now it will be up for pre-order. So
yes, that's just a little something to whet your appetite. But now we're coming on to my favourite part of the podcast.
Okay. Oh,
yes.
We're going to test your Gerry Anderson knowledge to the nth degree by playing a very quick game of super magnification.
See, I've talked myself a big game here, so
You
I'm looking
have.
forward to being let down.
So here we have
4 Feather Falls footage
in very blurry detail, probably a very close-up still from an episode of a Gerry Anderson series. Can you squint and tell me what you think that might be?
I think I know what it is.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you know, Chris?
Yes, because it's in the script and I've already seen the script.
Do you want me to say?
Yeah, go on.
Is that from the Mighty Atom?
Oh, he is good, isn't he?
He is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need to get out more.
No, you just stay in more and watch more Thunderbirds.
Is that in the book, that room?
That room is not in the book.
Oh, volume 2 then.
The irrigation plant did not make it in.
And your next one, there's only 2 of these. Anyway.
That does ring a bell.
Does it?
Yeah, the 8 on the side.
Yeah.
Is that a helijet?
Well, you tell me.
Oh, I'm going to kick myself, aren't I?
Well, maybe not. Are you thinking Supermarionation or are you thinking live action?
I'm thinking Supermarionation still,
Are you?
but it's the yellowness of it.
Yeah.
Can I try for helijet?
Let's have a look. Oh, Space
I
1999.
should know that as
Of
well.
course, full circle. There you go. Yeah, I see what you mean. It's a little bit of a.
It's the wing that got me.
That's right. Yeah. So there you go. I told you it was quick.
Yeah,
That's
it's
it.
all done now.
Yeah. So you got a 50% hit rate there.
Fair enough. I've proved my Thunderbirds credentials, but not my Space 1999 ones.
Exactly. But now we're really up to the most exciting part of the show, because it's time for you to take the big red button there.
Okay.
And if you could just hold it up for this camera here so we can see, and maybe give us a bit of a countdown, and press the button and see what the randomizer chooses for us to watch in a couple of weeks' time.
5,
Very
4,
good. You see.
They love
3,
doing this.
2, 1.
Nicely done. Let's see. Okay.
Do I have to hold it down?
No, you can let go now. It's the randomizer's doing its stuff. Supercar's gone. Stingray. So, through the Supermarionation. Okay.
Hey.
All right.
And what a coinkydink. Jamie is not here. This is...
It's lucky, isn't it?
He won't set foot in this room if there is Joe 90. That's the law.
Yeah.
So the randomizer has chosen an episode of Joe 90 for us. Which episode is it going to be, Chris?
I think it might be The Most Special Astronaut.
How do you feel about that?
I feel very good about that. Joe 90 is a criminally underrated show.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you say that. It's actually got a combined score of 6.8 on IMDb. Here's a couple of reviews. Best of Supermarionation, says one viewer. Stingray was good. Thunderbirds are fantastic. And Captain Scarlet was awesome. But for me, Joe 90 was the best of all. Maybe because
This is my review.
Is it?
Yeah, no.
Maybe because I was about Joe's age when I watched what seemed to be... it seemed all the more wonderful.
Well, this is the thing, because, like... Joe 90's premise is like a bit odd. It's kind of the anchor that holds the show down.
Yes.
But the acting, the writing, the set design, the model design is probably them at their best.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
and like even the stories are really, really good.
Right.
And
And the core, the central idea of Joe going off to do this stuff is a great idea, but it's just the way they have to go about it is a bit suspect.
Well, I mean, you'd need to convince this guy then, who also left a review on IMDb, not the best Gerry Anderson show. When you compare Joe 90 to other Gerry Anderson series such as Thunderbird, Stingray, or Captain Scarlet, it just seems totally inferior. To be honest, it was rather average, despite its interesting premise.
well, I think he's rather average despite his interesting premise.
Okay.
Hear that, Jamie?
Yes. Right. Well, we'll see in a couple of weeks' time when we sit down to watch an episode of Joe 90. Will you join us then?
I would love to.
Oh, I'm very glad to hear it. But in the meantime, we have one of these, Chris.
Now, time for Fab Facts.
We've actually got a fab fact for you about Joe 90, don't
About
we?
Joe 90, yeah,
Over
cool.
to you.
Oh, me? Okay, right. Well, this particular episode of Joe 90, you know what? I think I'm going to take 2 mini facts.
Oh, yeah?
And combine them into like one big fact.
okay.
Well, bigger fact.
Gonna shake
I
it up a
don't
bit.
think.
Fine.
I think so.
Yeah, go for it.
yes. So the model of the space station that we see in this episode, it's the OTC, but sometimes they call it the OCT, and it's OTC on the model.
It's like Orbital Transfer Company or Craft or something.
Right.
I think Shane Weston calls it OCT or something. But this model later turns up in General Henderson's office in UFO. That's in Court Martial. And I think there's an even more recognisable shot in, Straker checking it for dust there.
Also, love the
Close-Up.
Lego.
Yes. So I guess they've removed the top section here and just turned it around.
Yes.
But yeah, that's a fairly prominent prop to get reused in UFO.
Uh-huh.
We also see in this episode the interior of the space capsule that Joe is going to go into space in. Spoiler alert if you've not seen this one, Joe's going into space.
Yeah.
Was originally the interior of the MSV from the first episode of Captain Scarlet. We see it there. And then they never used the MSV again, so we never saw the interior.
Right.
But then it turns up as this space capsule, the SKR-4 in Inferno. And then again, as the space capsule in this episode of Joe 90.
Right.
It's these fire extinguishers that are the giveaway.
Uh-huh.
And then again in the mini-sub in Arctic Adventure. Are there any more I've forgotten there? I'm feeling it probably turned up elsewhere, because those are quite comfy chairs.
I think that's it that I can remember.
I mean, they literally had this stuff sitting on shelves in in the studio.
Yeah,
and
well,
they
maybe-
I guess with the MSV intending to be a hero vehicle that they then for some reason never went back to, they were keeping it, and it's like, well, it looks a cool set and we can easily redress it with other things.
I think the issue with the MSV is that, like, they had the Yellow Fox tanker that does exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
They have the SPV that does sort of similar things. Like, it made for a great toy, but sadly, I think there's a comic where they drive one into a tornado, but I think that's the only interesting thing I've seen of the game as well.
Yeah.
well, now, before we say goodbye, what have you got coming up, and where can we
yes.
see examples of your work?
Well, I do tend to share stuff on my Instagram, which is ChrisXL5.
Yeah, of course it is.
Coming up, I have the manual, obviously.
Yeah.
I've got Blake 7 Season 2, which should be dropping at the end of the year.
Yeah. A whole heap of stuff you probably can't tell us anything about.
Yeah, there's 2 projects I'm currently working on. One of them is a story that I've wanted to tell for a good 10 years.
Ooh.
And the other thing is something that I never thought in a million years I'd ever get to do.
Right.
So-
Okay, we'll try and get that out of him when we stop rolling, shall we?
Yes.
Yes.
I think so.
Great.
And of course we have Thunderbird 1.
Oh, yes.
Coming up.
And I provide the 3D and the reference for the diecast range. So we have Thunderbird 1 coming up. We previewed the prototype on one of the previous podcasts. So we have done some additional paneling and dirt and stuff on the side. And
Created a lovely base for it.
And the lovely base.
Oh, which you brought with you today, yes. Thank you for
Not
that.
Thunderbird 1, but I did bring the base.
Don't say we never give you anything.
But yes, that probably will already be announced by the time this goes out. But pre-order it and, I don't know, enjoy it.
Yeah. So in the meantime, join us in a couple of weeks' time when Chris and I are going to be watching an episode of Joe 90 on the Randomizer. But for now, Chris Thompson, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's get started.
Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
That was an Anderson Entertainment production.